Chelsea Reed had always believed Fairmont Crest was an open book, its cobblestone streets and ivy-strangled mansions incapable of hiding anything for long. Yet on the languid July afternoon, she stumbled into Madison Porter's locked attic studio and found the crumpled Vermont birth certificate and the faded Polaroid of Madison cradling a dark-eyed infant. Their entire sense of reality capsized in a single breathless lurch. The signature on the certificate was unmistakable: Madison Olivia Porter Whitaker, spouse of one Evan Whitaker. Date of marriage 2 years earlier on a windswept Cape Cod bluff Chelsea had driven past 100 careless times without suspecting the vows exchanged there. Madison, secret husband, secret child. A whole parallel life smuggled in and out of Boston backroads, while Fairmont Crest applauded her as the town's incandescent darling. The revelation struck Chelsea with the force of a back-alley sucker punch, leaving her clutching the attic banister, lungs rasping against shock that felt almost chemical. She replayed every terse phone call Madison had fielded in the middle of the night, every business trip to Boston that stretched 36 hours, every hollow excuse about gallery openings and charity galas, until the mosaic of omissions assembled into an obvious portrait of betrayal so bright it seared her retinas. She descended the attic stairs on trembling legs, mind spiraling through grief, fury, humiliation, and something darker, the realization that the only person who might understand the scale of Madison's duplicity was the one woman Chelsea had always been taught to distrust: Vanessa Calloway. The Boston-based art historian who had once shared Madison's bed and, rumor insisted, still nursed a grease-sharpened craving to wound the woman who abandoned her. Within hours, Vanessa's text arrived, venom sleek as a stiletto. Heard the attic finally coughed up its ghosts. Welcome to the club. Drinks. The invitation pulsed on Chelsea's screen like a detonator button, and against every instinct she drove to the waterfront bar on Beacon Hill where Vanessa waited in black silk and predatory calm, eyes glittering with equal parts pity and calculation. They talked for 5 straight hours while the harbor dissolved into night, trading shards of memory like contraband. Vanessa's account of clandestine weekends in a Nantucket rental, Madison whispering promises of forever even as she planned a ceremony with Evan Whitaker. Chelsea's recollection of Madison assuring her there was no one else. Never could be, each lie snapping into alignment until the shared bitterness welded the two women into an alloy harder than either had been alone. By the 3rd round of bourbon, Vanessa leaned in, voice soft as a scalpel, and proposed a pact not cheap gossip, not reckless vandalism, but a precise symphony of psychological retribution that would unravel Madison's double life thread by thread until she stood exposed before Fairmont Crest and the secret Boston circles alike. Chelsea knew she should recoil, yet the idea of reclaiming agency through orchestrated vengeance shimmered like salvation. She clasped Vanessa's offered hand, feeling electricity arc at the handshake seam, and in that moment their alliance was born. They spent August mapping pressure points. Madison's reliance on donor money funneled through the Fairmont Arts Foundation, her fragile custody arrangement with the unsuspecting Whitaker family, her obsessive need to curate public perception. Vanessa sourced incriminating emails and hotel receipts. Chelsea, still publicly Madison's closest confidant, fed her partner intel from inside Fairmont so smooth Madison never felt the knife sliding beneath her ribs. They communicated in encrypted notes hidden inside our catalogs and met under the pretense of planning a charity exhibit called Byeond The Gates, a name that became their private joke for the threshold they intended Madison to cross into ruination. September brought the first domino. Chelsea accidentally forwarded foundation board members a doctored budget that revealed a fictitious $120,000 shortfall tied to Madison's signature. The town's rumor mill ignited overnight. Investors panicked, and Madison spent frantic days insisting she would clear up the glitz while she scrambled. Vanessa leaked a photograph of Madison leaving a pediatric clinic with the hidden child swaddled in crimson wool. The baby's face mosaicked out just enough to inflame a speculation without courting legal blowback. Fairmont's social feeds erupted. Who's the baby? Whose is it? Where's the father? Madison's curated myth vaporized in comment threads before she could draft a statement. Yet comfort never came to Chelsea the way she'd imagined. Each savage headline tasted of ash. And watching Madison's eyes widen with primal fear when she confronted the board-triggered twinges of antique tenderness Chelsea had sworn to bury. Vanessa sensed the wavering and tightened her grip, whisking Chelsea to Boston penthouses where revenge felt glamorous, feeding her champagne and whispered affirmations that they were making art out of justice. But beneath Vanessa's lacquered composure pulsed a more personal agenda. She didn't merely want Madison disgraced, she wanted her begging at the same feet she once spurned. Chelsea, half aware of the deeper current, suppressed doubts and churned forward. By October, the alliance pivoted from digital leaks to visceral theater. They orchestrated a charity masquerade at the abandoned Granger estate, luring Fairmont's elite with promises of immersive art. Madison, desperate for goodwill, agreed to curate the event, unaware her two collaborators controlled every candlelit corridor. At the climax, Chelsea guided Madison to the ballroom where a single spotlight illuminated an installation titled Inheritance, floor-to-ceiling projections of Madison's marriage license, the birth certificate, hotel invoices, and Vanessa's grainy Nantucket photographs folded into a kaleidoscope of betrayal rotating across stained plaster walls. Gasps ricocheted off chandeliers, donors froze. Someone's champagne flute shattered like a pistol shot. Madison staggered, eyes glistening, then fled into the night pursued by a swarm of phones and flashbulbs. In the mayhem, Chelsea felt the hollow bloom again, a chill emptiness that no amount of triumph could thaw, yet Vanessa's triumphant smile pinned her in place. The fallout was immediate and brutal. Board votes to suspend Madison, Whitaker lawyers descending with custody petitions, tabloids camped outside her garden gate. Fairmont Crest, once dazzled by her charm, turned predator, craving fresh scandal to gnaw. Still the spiral tightened. Madison, cornered yet unbroken, retreated to Boston with her child and began striking back. She released emails proving the foundation's shortfall had been fabricated, hinting that insider manipulation was responsible. And though she stopped short of naming Chelsea and Vanessa, the implication thrummed beneath every paragraph. She sold personal jewelry to hire Louisa Martin, a crisis management oracle with a reputation for resurrecting disgraced tech moguls. And within weeks, sympathetic op-eds portraying Madison as a devoted mother protecting her infant from small-town toxicity began surfacing in glossy magazines. Chelsea scrolled through them at 3 a.m., fingers numb, feeling the narrative slip. Vanessa responded by accelerating Phase 3, a petition to revoke Madison's directorship at the Fairmont Museum, accompanied by affidavits from former interns alleging patterned emotional exploitation. Some statements were real, many embellished, but all damning when compiled into a dossier that Chelsea delivered, hands shaking, to the museum board chair. The vote was scheduled for December 1st. Yet in those narrowing weeks, Chelsea's conscience fractured under the strain. She watched footage of Madison singing lullabies to her child on the snowy steps of Boston Public Library, paparazzi kept at bay by newly sympathetic bystanders, and recalled nights they shared secrets under the planetarium dome, swearing loyalty as meteors scorched forgotten skies. Guilt seed, metastasizing into insomnia and trembling panic that gnawed at her resolve. Vanessa, observing cracks, deployed intimacy as adhesive. She kissed Chelsea in the dim light of her south and loft, murmured that trauma forged the strongest bonds, promised a glittering future once Madison was out of the frame. The kiss tasted sweet, potent, but Chelsea sensed the heat masked something corrosive. On Thanksgiving Eve, she returned to Fairmont alone and found Madison waiting on her porch, child asleep in a car seat, snow swirling like confetti in the porch light. Madison offered no recriminations, only silent terrors and a single plea. Stop this before none of us recognize who we are. The raw vulnerability carved Chelsea open. They spoke until dawn, unpacking half-truths and apologies, and by sunrise Chelsea made the impossible decision to dismantle the revenge engine she had helped build. The reversal was labyrinthine. She began feeding Martin evidence of Vanessa's manipulations, portraying Chelsea herself as an unwitting pawn seeking redemption. In parallel, she brokered secret meetings between Madison and key foundation donors to clarify financial sabotage. Each covert act risked Vanessa's wrath, and when Vanessa sensed betrayal, she unleashed a final gambit. She leaked Chelsea's burner phone transcripts, plotting the masquerade reveal, framing Chelsea as mastermind and herself as mere accessory. The leak detonated across social feeds like shrapnel. Chelsea's inbox flooded with threats. The museum chair postponed the December vote to consider new revelations. Chelsea, exposed, could either cling to Vanessa's sinking ship or confess everything. On a windswept December 1st, she strode into the boardroom, handed over a meticulous confession citing every forged document, every leak, every lie, placing majority blame on herself to neutralize Vanessa's narrative. The confession was both crucifixion and liberation. She lost her curator post, her social standing, but gained an unexpected ally in Madison, who spoke on her behalf. She made mistakes in pain. We all did. Let's stop bleeding. The board issued suspension in lieu of permanent ban and agreed to audit foundation governance to prevent future vendettas. Vanessa, cornered, attempted a last-ditch smear but found doors slamming shut as Fairmont wearied of spectacle. She retreated to Boston galleries, fury congealing into whispered threats of lawsuits that never materialized. Chelsea, meanwhile, embarked on slow penance, volunteering at the town's juvenile arts outreach under the radar while Madison, re-established as head of special projects rather than director, balanced motherhood with rebuilding trust. Their relationship remains scarred yet strangely symbiotic. Late nights they traded notes for Byeond The Gates, the exhibition that now, ironically, championed themes of transparency and redemption. Fairmont's winter thaw ushered in cautious optimism, children painting murals over graffiti where headlines once screamed, donors funding scholarships instead of gossip columns. And though the trio's names still sparked murmured conjecture in coffee shops, the vortex of jealousy and manipulation that had almost consumed them settled into a quiet standoff that even in the ruins of betrayal, new gates could open if one dared to step through carrying nothing but truth.